Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a like up. The WrestleMania 41 card is stacked with many blockbuster matches. The premium live event is going to feature plenty of amazing multi-person and one-on-one contests. However, there are a lot of bouts that are not taking place on the grandest stage of them all, even though they should have. The Prodigy is one of the most talented wrestlers on the roster today. She was the face of NXT's women's division and carried the black and silver brand on her back for the last year. Ever since losing her NXT Women's Championship, Roxanne has been in a lot of matches with Bayley. She even dressed up as the classic hugger in February to tease the role model. Their feud deserves a grand stage for its culmination. It would have been great to see these two settle their score at the Showcase of the Immortals. Ever since their debut last year, the Wyatt Six has become one of the most interesting factions on the Raw roster. However, they have not been involved in any major storylines since moving to SmackDown. Ever since he returned to WWE last year, Andrade has been a major attraction on SmackDown. He had some great matches with Carmelo Hayes over the last year in their 7-match series. While both of them are gifted stars, they haven't had any major matches on a PLE as of late. Another match between the two at WrestleMania would have definitely been a treat to watch. The new bloodline dominated SmackDown for the better part of last year, feuding with big names like Randy Orton, Kevin Owens, Cody Rhodes, and more. However, ever since Solo lost to Roman Reigns on Raw's Netflix debut, the ties between the bloodline have started to sever. Jacob Fatu especially has been very disappointed with the former tribal chief. The two could have had a great match at WrestleMania, but Jacob Fatu is competing for the U.S. Championship against LA Knight instead. The tag team division on SmackDown has been delivering some great matches on weekly television. The titles have changed hands multiple times over the past few months, and it has been fun to watch. The Motor City Machine Guns recently became the #1 contenders for the WWE tag titles and are set to face the Street Profits. But their match will take place on SmackDown this week. This bout should have taken place at WrestleMania as a major title is being defended. Ishin Dubey is a pro wrestling writer for Sportskeeda, with a lifelong love for professional wrestling that began when he was 5, watching the 2011 Royal Rumble. While pursuing a BCom Hans degree at the University of Delhi, his dedication to wrestling has driven his career. With years of freelance writing experience, Ishin reports on WWE, adhering to strict guidelines and using official sources to maintain accuracy and give readers the best stories and information. His favorite wrestlers include CM Punk, for always sticking to his beliefs, and Kenny Omega, whom he considers the god of professional wrestling. Outside wrestling, Ishin enjoys watching sitcoms, listening to rock and metal music, and writing poems and stories. A passionate debater, he often finds himself in front of a podium when not at his laptop. One of his favorite moments was having a Kenny Omega poster he made reshared by Omega himself on Instagram. Every WrestleMania brings with it the bright lights, the big drama, and of course, a card stacked with dream matches. WrestleMania 41 is no exception, but even the grandest stage of them all can't fit every storyline, rivalry, or fantasy booking fans have in their heads. As the final card is set and the road to Mania wins into its glittering final stretch, we can't help but look at the dream matchups left in the dust. Here are 5 matches that should have been on the WrestleMania 41 card, but for one reason or another aren't. Ever since Gunther's record-breaking Intercontinental Championship reign turned him into a modern-day warlord, fans have begged for one thing: a monster-on-monster collision with Brock Lesnar. The visual writes itself: Lesnar's primal rage versus Gunther's surgical brutality. Two behemoths staring each other down in silence before all hell breaks loose. WrestleMania 41 seemed like the perfect place. The build-up could have been minimal. Just a slow walk to the ring and a handshake that turns into a suplex fest. But with Lesnar absent due to ongoing legal and contractual issues, the dream match fizzled before it could even ignite. And while Gunther's rumored clash with Ilja Dragunov will be an instant classic, it doesn't carry the same seismic weight. This was a missed moment to carve something mythical into WrestleMania. Their first clash, and the fans were hungry for round 2, but fate, or more precisely, Liv Morgan and a shoulder injury had other plans. Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch at WrestleMania 41 was all but confirmed before the Royal Rumble. Becky was on a redemption arc, Rhea was in her most dominant form, and the tension between them crackled like barbed wire. But when Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez took Rhea out of action in early March, WWE scrambled to reshuffle its women's championship plans. Becky now finds herself in a multi-woman showcase while Rhea recovers on the sidelines. The tragedy? This wasn't just a match. This was an era-defining collision. The Man versus Mamie. A feud built on mutual respect, quiet resentment, and the undeniable truth that only one of them could be the face of women's wrestling. WrestleMania 42, maybe? 3. The Rock versus Cody Rhodes. Bloodline breakdown. The headlines were written, the seeds planted, the promos practically penned in blood. After months of teases and one epic tag match at Elimination Chamber, The Rock was the bloodline. And then he wasn't. What should have been the biggest match in decades, The Rock versus Cody Rhodes, was put on the back burner to allow Cody to finish the story against Roman Reigns for the second year in a row. While fans are still invested in that arc, the heat between Cody and The Rock was nuclear. The people wanted a war. The promos were gold. The tension was real. And The Rock had finally turned heel, a megastar aligned with his tribal lineage, and yet a traitor to the fans' hero. To not capitalize on that at WrestleMania 41 is not just a creative detour. It's a cosmic mistake. Whether it was backstage politics, scheduling conflicts, or a longer plan at play, it's one of the biggest what-ifs in modern wrestling. 4. LA Knight versus Logan Paul. Megastar versus megastar. Yeah, this could have been a promo battle for the ages. LA Knight, WWE's breakout anti-hero, was riding a tsunami of crowd support into 2025. Logan Paul, the ultimate outsider turned U.S. champion, had the arrogance, the skill, and the viral appeal to match Knight's fire. It should have been simple. Knight wins the Elimination Chamber, calls his shot at the U.S. title, and cuts weekly promos turning Logan Paul into digital dust. But instead, LA Knight was redirected into a grudge match with AJ Styles, a good feud, but not a spotlight stealer. Meanwhile, Logan Paul ended up in a triple threat with Kevin Owens and Grayson Waller. The decision diluted both arcs. LA Knight versus Logan Paul could have been a star-making WrestleMania moment, a duel of charisma and controversy, complete with brass knuckles and mic drops. Instead, fans are left to imagine what the Yeah movement, conquering YouTube royalty, might have looked like under the lights of Sophie Stadium. 5. Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso. Brother versus brother. If there was ever a story begging for closure at WrestleMania, this was it. Since SummerSlam 2023, where Jey superkicked his way out of the bloodline, fans have been waiting for the full fallout. Jimmy Uso betrayed his brother. Jey jumped to Raw. And yet, no singles match came. The emotional weight? Immense. Two real-life brothers turned on-screen enemies, one carrying the trauma of tribal loyalty, the other carrying the guilt of betrayal. A match at WrestleMania 41 could have been more than just personal. It could have been legendary. Throw in Ricochet as the special guest referee, and you'd have a family civil war worthy of Shakespeare. But WWE seemed hesitant to pull the trigger. Jey is now in the Intercontinental title hunt, and Jimmy is back under Roman's wing. The feud that once had main event potential now feels like unfinished business floating in limbo. Maybe WWE is saving it for SummerSlam. Maybe they're worried it's too real. But it should have been now. The reality of the road. WrestleMania is never about giving fans everything they want. It's about giving them what they didn't know they needed. But sometimes, it's okay to admit that certain matches deserved that grand stage. Whether it was injury, politics, timing, or longer-term storytelling, these 5 matches remained ghost stories in the WrestleMania 41 lore. Matches that will live on in fantasy booking threads, late-night podcasts, and what-if YouTube retrospectives. One thing's for sure. If WWE ever needs a backup card, These 5 bouts would be a dream show in themselves. What match do you wish made it to the WrestleMania 41 card? Let me know, and we can fantasy book the whole thing, entrances and all. Want this turned into a social media thread or a video script? I got you.